but just having a simple plan from the beginning is going to make the world of difference. So hitting on a couple things first, click. It helps if you turn the mouse on.
Does it?
Yes, it does. See, there we go. So just a reminder that our nutrition program, Fuel, is completely backed by HSN. We work with Healthy Steps Nutrition. So Healthy Steps Nutrition is a program that helps CrossFit gyms run a nutrition program through a ton of different registered dietitians. So they provide the backbone of the program, and we provide the accountability coaching. So we are not dietitians, but we are very experienced at getting people to do the thing. So our entire goal is to make sure that nutrition is not complicated. So, and we go back to the quote at Healthy Steps Nutrition and Fuel, we believe that something as fundamental as nutrition should not be complicated. So our goal is to simplify all of this for you. There's a lot of complexity that can exist in nutrition, but we want to give you the basics so that you understand exactly where it's coming from. And while Fuel is new to us, that we've just started this program, this is something that's been in the works for a very, very long time. But Healthy Steps Nutrition has helped over 40,000 people across the country through CrossFit gyms, throughout the world, to take control of their nutrition. So there are success stories, and we will have a ton of success stories within our own gym, but there are already existing success stories through the program. So Fuel is following that model, and just like we do at Odin, we're gonna do it the best that it's been done before. So I'm gonna hand this over to Danielle now to talk about meal prep.
All right. So, everything that you want to make sure that you have a plan, right? Have you ever gotten home from work and like, crap, I can't do a CrossFit, right? Or you're like, I didn't eat very much today. Now I don't know what to eat. I'm gonna grab whatever the easiest because I didn't think something out. Okay? So when we don't plan, we're not necessarily making the best choices. know, or I'm gonna grab maybe one of their take and go meals that looks really good, and it's like, you know, chicken fettuccine alfredo in a container. All right, so you want to make sure that you are not starving when you get to the grocery store. All right. Also, how many of you guys use like a meal shopping service, like an Instacart? Okay. So I want to tell you guys, Instacart can really be your friend. For me personally, I use it because my days are long. Like Jason mentioned earlier, my husband travels a lot. You know, I'm working here. I'm working a full-time job. I'm taking care of my household, and it's like, well, there's not enough hours in the day, right? So I typically will pick. I normally shop between two stores during the week. They're Costco and they're Wegmans. Okay. My Costco trip, I like to go. I'm one of those. I like to peruse. Costco's got some cool stuff, right? My Wegmans, I Instacart that bad boy. Okay. For a couple different reasons. A, it's a time saver. B, they have my list and they're not going to deviate from it. I'm not going to be impulsive. Okay? And they do a pretty nice job, in my opinion. You can leave them notes. I want my apples to be, you know, super firm. I don't want any brown on my bananas, like whatever it may be. They try their best. They do. Okay? Also, when we're in the grocery store, have you ever heard, like, you know, shopping the perimeter rather than going down the aisles? Okay, so the reason being is because your proteins, typically, your proteins, your veggies, your dairy, like some of your more whole food items are going to be along the perimeter, right? When you start walking down the aisles, you've got your really yummy breakfast cereals that are loaded with sugar. You've got your barbecue chips, which I happen to love, right? But if I stay along the outside as best I can, out of sight, out of mind, okay?
Can I jump in on the Instacart thing for real fast? Instacart is more expensive for the things that you're going to get. That is a very real thing, that you're going to pay more for Instacart. I will tell you that Instacart is a money saver, though, for my family. And it's a money saver because when you go to the grocery store, you are influenced to buy things that you would not otherwise buy. You go outside of your staples. Many of you know that my past career was in beverage distribution. There is a ton of science that is used by all of the companies, whether it's Coca-Cola, Frito-Lay, but also the grocery stores themselves, to position things that you don't necessarily go into the grocery store wanting, that you're going to walk out with. Instacart saves that because it's not going to target you with those things nearly as much. So you are significantly more likely to stay to your list when you go through a shopping service compared to going to the store. And generally the things that you're going to buy are higher processed foods that you didn't necessarily want. They're going to be sweeter things that have more added sugar content. And on top of that, they're going to be sauces that you're going to walk by, and the sauce is going to look good, but it's not going to be the staple seasonings that you would use at your house if you were following a recipe. So that's where you're adding sugar to your diet, that's where you're adding processed foods to your diet, and that's where you're adding a lot of fat. So shopping services, I swear to God I do not work for Instacart, but we have found that we eat healthier and that we end up saving money on groceries by going through a service like Instacart. You can. I want anybody who's hearing, who's
So,
listening.
like Instacart, like comes with a cost, right? It's an annual cost, kind of like Amazon Prime. Who has Amazon Prime? Like all of you, right? So, with that Instacart annual fee, if you have a Costco membership, it cuts it in half. All you have to do is put your membership number in, and like that annual fee is basically gone. You're paying for that service convenience. I know I love people. I hate crowds. Costco gives me anxiety. I don't like going in, so I Instacart all of that. Yeah, but if you put your membership in, it cuts your like initial fee like down to like half of it, or even more than half of it. So, yeah.
I agree with Molly. I do hate the crowds at Costco, so I'm like the person that goes at like 7:45 in the evening, and there literally is no one there. And
The other thing about meal prep services, a lot of them, they have options that make it look healthier than it is. It looks like it's the plate method that we're going to end up talking about, but then they add additional sauces that add sugar and things like that. So we have used meal prep services both personally and through the gym in the past, and it ends up being significantly more expensive, and you have to be really choosy about the meals that you're picking, or you end up in the higher fat. So, and Tyler, for a guy like you, a lot of the meal prep services that are out there, one meal would not be enough for you for the dinner setting. And so you would, because, and I'm telling you this, I'm telling you this from experience, because I would have to order the extra large meals, right, for myself so that I could hit the protein number that I want to hit. I mean, we talk about a palm of protein. Like my palms are decent sized. And so at that point, you're spending $15 to $18 per meal, and I'm going to show you the meal prep that I did today for you guys, and I cooked all of the food that you're going to see in under an hour, and you're going to see that that's going to hold Allison and I over for a couple days.
I ate it for lunch today, we're gonna eat it for dinner tonight, and we've got plenty left over for lunch and dinner tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so lastly, when you guys are in the grocery store, and you can do this too through your Instacart app if you're online shopping, how many of you guys are looking at labels, nutrition labels? Yeah, so Julie, what are you looking for when you're looking at a nutrition label? Ingredients? Yeah. Yeah, so ingredients are a big one. I mean, obviously, we want to look at the serving information. So if you get one of those, Molly and I were just talking about this earlier, guys. So Molly and I are working together, right? And she likes to get one of those, like, take home, meal in a bag type situation. And I'm fine with that, except for often, in her husband's lists, those lists on whole bag, and a bag of 8 servings. Okay, so it's but a serving of almond butter is way less than what we think it is. And if you think you can eyeball 2 tablespoons, you're wrong. You're gonna go over. Okay? So serving size is important. Additionally, you want to look at your calories. Calories are your energy. All right. So we're not going to say that they're good or bad necessarily. It depends on everything else that's in there. Then we're looking at saturated fats. We're looking at added sugars. Okay. We are looking at the ingredients list, like Julie said. So typically, always ingredients are going to be listed from like highest to lowest. So if you're looking at like a condiment, some kind of barbecue sauce for your chicken, right? If corn syrup is the first ingredient on that list, that's all sugar. Okay? So you need to know what you're looking for, and you need to be okay? Step 5. Now we gotta prep all this food that we planned for and all this food that we shopped for, right? So there is a couple different ways you can do this, and this is probably where Jason alluded to. His meal prep looks different from my meal prep. It's gonna be whatever works best for you and your family and your schedules, all right? But what you don't wanna do is go shopping, buy all this lovely food, and then let it sit and sit and sit in your fridge, and then it goes bad, right? Nobody likes to waste money. Nobody likes to waste food. Okay, so a couple different options here. Again, totally tailored to you. You can pick a day, right? Some of the people that I'm working with, it's Sundays. Sundays is the day. They get up. They go to the grocery store. They've already made their list. They do that ahead of time. All right. They go to the grocery store. They get what they're looking for. They come home and they knock it out. Okay. So they plan to time block a few hours Sunday morning to get this done. Okay. So for me personally, my husband's gone often during the week, right? And we like to kind of tag team. We get our time together on the weekends. Spend a lot of that time together in the kitchen. Okay. So I will get the groceries during the week, and then we plan Sunday morning, we get up and we have a system and we knock out our meal prep, all right? Typically, it starts with going back to what tools you have in your kitchen. We've got things running at the same time, all right? He's got meat going on the grill. Love the grill this time of year. You can throw so many things on it. You can cook 2 proteins at the same time. All right, so he's manning the grill while I've got veggies in my air fryer and veggies on my stove, and I've got potatoes roasting in my oven. All right, we've got things going at the same time. For each of us, I prep 10 meals. He preps 10 meals. Every single weekend, 20 meals. We have it down in under 2 hours. Okay, so planning out your tools and your recipes, planning out, again, there's 2 of us, you know, we're tag teaming it, but even still, sometimes if he's gone or whatever and I have to do it myself, it doesn't take me that much longer because, well, number 1, I've been doing it forever, but number 2, you know, I've already planned it out, I've got all my tools laid out, I know what I need to do, okay? Now, just because some people are like, well, I don't like to eat the same thing every single day, and that's fine. For me, I do. I plan my work week Monday through Friday. I meal prep my breakfast. I meal prep my lunch. All right, it is the same thing Monday through Friday. For me, I need food to survive, okay? Yes, we love to eat food. Yes, it tastes good. But I need fuel, we're getting to that. I need food first and foremost to fuel my body, okay? So it's easiest for me to prep the same thing Monday through Friday, breakfast, lunch, and then what we do is we'll prep some bulk meat also on Sunday. Maybe it's the shredded chicken, maybe it's, you know, not the same picture showing. Maybe it's some turkey, all right, ground turkey or whatever. And then I also have some extra veggies stored. I've got some extra carbs. So Monday night, maybe I want to do egg roll in a bowl, okay, with that ground turkey. Then the next night, I want to do burger bowls. Love those. We do them all the time. Then the next night, I want to have turkey tacos, all right? So I don't prep my dinner so that I can have some flexibility, but I've already prepped all the things on Sunday, okay? Does that make sense? Cool. So just because you prep one meat doesn't mean that you can't have variety throughout your meals is my point, all right? Now, some meal prep in action. Meal prep looks different for everybody. This is live footage of what my meal prep looks like, all right? Because I go to work Monday through Friday, okay, I take my food in a container. If you came to the first nutrition talk, and we're gonna go over it here in a little bit, we talk about the plate method. You know, I make that work inside my container. I'm heavy veggie loaded. I've got my little bit of starch and my carbs, all right? And then I add in my protein. When I'm at home and I'm making my dinners, it looks exactly the same as what my meal prep looks like if I were to unpack it, okay? Lots of veggies, little bit of protein, lots of veggies, quarter protein, quarter starch on my plate, okay? And sometimes I add some avocado, but remember too, if I'm cooking in olive oils, like you're getting your healthy fats in, depending on what meat you pick, all right, you're gonna have fat in every single protein, so keep that in mind when you're adding in those extra healthy fats, okay?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Is it gender specific that women prefer to eat out of a shallow bowl?
I love eating my food out of a bowl. I also don't let this, so there's a fork here and there's a spoon here. I'm a spoon. I eat almost everything with a spoon. I don't know, there's like, you know, no little rice granule left behind. I can get it with the spoon, guys.
If I served Allison's dinner on a plate to her, she would go get a bowl and put it in the bowl. Like, so it's like,
You can come up the sides.
Food security, yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to add this picture in here too. So this is mine and my husband's. We have switched from the plastic containers to the glass containers. We can have a whole nother nutrition talk on non-toxic things, but I won't go down a rabbit hole. So these are my real live meal prep containers, okay? Once we have all the here I've got potatoes and green beans, I've got my starches, I've got my veggies, then I add my protein on top. You can see in the back here, I started piling up some chicken thighs on the top there. I also want to tell you guys that get creative, right? Like, what is breakfast? Well, it's a time of day. Does it mean that you need to have eggs and oatmeal and whatever? I eat chicken, sausage, green beans, and potatoes for breakfast every single day. I love it. All right? Who's ever had breakfast for dinner? Awesome. Right? So don't let that derail you. I was having this conversation with one of our clients the other day, right? Breakfast doesn't have to be your stereotypical breakfast. You're going to do what works for you. That's how I make sure that I get my protein and my veggies. You know, you want to grow big and strong, you got to eat vegetables. It's got all your micronutrients in it. So if I'm just having scrambled eggs and oatmeal every day, well, then I'm missing some of those carbs. Okay? Cool. Turning it back over to Jason.
Yep. So a couple HSN principles here. We're going to start with add more whole foods into your diet. So what Danielle has talked about is generally eating real food. So meal prepping is a great way to make sure that you're consuming that real food. If you're in a pinch, you generally run out of real food, right? And you go towards something that's more processed because it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's easier a lot of the time. So meal prepping is a great way to make sure that you're getting more real food. So that brings us into the plate method, and the plate method is completely designed to be real food. So I'm going to hit it again because I think that it's important. Half of your plate is non-starchy vegetables, and if you're confused about what non-starchy vegetables are, we're going to show you a few examples. But non-starchy vegetables are very low glycemic. You're not your potatoes, it's your greens, your asparagus, carrots, eggplants, tomatoes, cauliflower. These are bulk volume vegetables that have lower starch content and higher nutrient content. This is what's going to fill you up, but it's also going to be what gives you the vitamins and nutrients you need. The starchy carbohydrates, that's getting into where the starchy vegetables, that is where you're getting your massive amount of carbohydrates that you need. Most of us know at this point that carbohydrates are what give us energy. That's what's going to give you energy throughout the day. It's what's going to power your workout. So I also include fruit in this category of the starchy carbohydrates or starchy vegetables. So you're looking at potatoes, you're looking at brown rice. Pasta or white rice could also be in there, but that's higher glycemic, so your body is not going to process it as well, and you're going to have a higher sugar or insulin spike. Then a quarter of your plate is dedicated to protein. We significantly prefer lean protein so that we can get our fats from vegetable sources as opposed to meat sources. So we're sticking on the leaner side of things. Chicken is a great source. Boneless, skinless chicken breast is going to be the leanest of the meats that we're going to get. Chicken thighs are going to be a little bit higher in the fat content. In the beef category, you have 93.7 or 95.5 ground beef that you can find, that you can add flavor to so that it doesn't taste as dry as if you would just cook it by itself. Most seafood is significantly lean, so you're thinking your white fishes, your shrimps, really any kind of crustacean in any way. So scallops are on that leaner protein side. You do have some fattier fishes like swordfish and salmon that should be consumed in moderation, but those have really good fats in them as well. It's just not something that we would be adding extra fat to. So if I had a salmon with my dinner, I wouldn't be adding as much olive oil or as much avocado or something like that to go along with it. So the next thing that we want to talk about is I brought Alice and I's meal prep, and this is just things that we make on a regular basis that I made so that I could show you and so that we could actually eat dinner. Back to what Danielle was saying, we use glass as well for anything that we're going to microwave, but we do store in plastic for anything that we're going to take out of the container. So the first, what's that? Yeah, yeah. So the first thing that we have is chicken. This was an entire family size container of chicken from Wegmans, chicken thighs. And this was the world's simplest preparation. We call it taco chicken. I used half of a packet of taco seasoning along with half of a jar of green salsa, and I put it in the bag with the chicken. I marinated it, let it sit for at least 6 hours in that so that it seasoned the chicken. And then this morning, because I was in the kitchen, I air fried it as opposed to grilled it, but I could have grilled this, I could have smoked it, I could have had any option. So I grilled it, I did 2 batches, and I was able to get the entire family size pack of chicken thighs, which I think was about 6 pounds, is what it normally is, of chicken thighs within that. And you can see this is what's left after we ate lunch, and I'm gonna show you our dinners in just a moment. So then getting into the non-starchy vegetables that are gonna take up the majority of our plate, we like to mix it up. And so in here we have onions, bell peppers, there's a green bell pepper and a red bell pepper, and then zucchini or summer squash. So this started out as 2 whole onions, 2 whole bell peppers, and 4 zucchini. And this is what we're down left to, and I'll show you what it looks like on our plate. Yeah.
I can smell it.
Now we're getting to, that's because I really like garlic.
I mean,
Yeah.
fair, I like garlic.
So now we're getting into the starchy vegetables. We generally try and pair a lower glycemic with potentially a higher glycemic at times. So what you're gonna see on our dinner tonight is this is our version of refried black beans. This is the world's simplest preparation. We like to cook the black beans and then I smash them with a potato masher so that they get nice and creamy as well. So what I do for this was a whole onion, a whole bell pepper, put some taco seasoning in there and some garlic, saute that, and then throw the black beans in. The black beans cook for a little bit, and then I just smash them with a potato masher, and they turn out this nice refried black bean consistency. And then a higher glycemic starchy carb is corn. So this is a corn kind of mixture. So this is fresh corn off the ear that I shucked and cut. This also has an onion, a bell pepper, and if I had it in my fridge, if I had paid attention to what Danielle had said, I would have put a can or 2 of Rotel in here as well, because I think that there are some canned vegetables that are really nice to have as a staple. Rotel is one that we always have. It gives good flavor. If you don't know what Rotel is, it's jalapenos and tomatoes combined together, and it adds nice flavor to everything. And I actually had a poblano pepper, which is a mild pepper that was supposed to go in this, and it is still sitting on my counter. And then for the fat, getting to the fat. So for us, we like sources of fat that are really easy. I could make guacamole, but Costco has these wonderful guacamole packages that are nice and easy. We use these all the time. So this guacamole is enough for both Allison and I. So what we'll do is she will just scoop half of it onto her plate. I will take the other half and put it on my plate. And we share 1 container of guacamole between the 2 of us. And this, holy shit. I need my readers. So yeah, it's this is 1 serving per container. It has 90 calories in it, 7 grams of fat. Now, I did cook with some spray olive oil. We use a lot of the spray olive oil, and most of what we cook on is cast iron. So this does have some olive oil, so we would split this between the 2 of us. So now, getting into what it looks like in the plate method. This is our actual dinner tonight that we're gonna go home and microwave after we're done here. So looking at what it looks like for Allison, because we are different sized human beings, you can see that a full half of the plate is the pepper, zucchini, and onion mixture, about a palm's worth of chicken thighs, and then we have a quarter of the plate split up between the black beans and the corn. So nice and easy preparation. And this is, yeah, it is a shallow bowl here. I'm gonna let you put that back on there. And then, because I am a bigger human being than Allison, mine is a little bit larger, but it's the same thing. So I have more protein, I have at least the same amount of vegetables, and then I have a little bit more starchy carbs because to run this takes more calories than to run that. So it's the same exact thing, just in a little bit different proportions because we're different sized humans, right? And then the guacamole would go on top of this. Now, when I said that Allison and I do slightly different meal prep than Danielle does, I showed you kind of the containers that we cook in, and we store everything in bulk. because if we put all of our containers for the entire week in our fridge, we would run out of fridge space even though we have 2 fridges. The other thing is that we do like to have options as we go through it. I'm okay with eating the same thing, but there's different configurations of things that I like throughout the week. So we'll do something like this taco chicken, right? And we'll eat the taco chicken, but tomorrow night, instead of eating it the exact same preparation that you saw, this is gonna end up as a taco salad. So we're gonna use romaine lettuce. We'll probably throw some spinach on there. We always have pickled onions in our fridge. So we'll put some pickled onions, maybe some sandwich peppers or banana peppers on there. The vegetables will stay, the black beans will go on the taco salad with it. So everything will be mixed in one big bowl. But then we have vegetables left over. So when we run out of chicken, we're gonna cook some flank steak, and that flank steak will go with the vegetables just the same. So our goal throughout the week is we don't spend as much time meal prepping on Sunday, depending on the week. We have a small child, he's got sports, all kinds of different things, and we like to try and spend time with him on the weekends before he's at camp and things all throughout the week. So our goal every single night is to cook one thing, but we cook that one thing for multiple nights. So our bad night is if we get home and we have to cook starchy vegetables, regular vegetables, or non-starchy vegetables, and protein. A really good night is we come home and we have to cook protein and everything else is prepared. Or we have protein and we have to just cook a starchy vegetable. So we can manage cooking that one thing while we're doing the nighttime activities, and then we're just cooking it in bulk. Everything that we make grande so that it's not just for one meal. And we try and pick things that are not, that go with everything else, right? So you start to build a repertoire of recipes that you can go through with all of this. So questions about how we meal prep? Yes?
How did your son like your food?
Hey, our son loves our food and actually complains when he goes to friend's house, because he'll come home from going to a friend's house and he'll be hungry and say, they didn't serve me any vegetables. I just had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There was no protein. Or he'll be like, they just had pizza. Like, what am I supposed to do with pizza, right? And so I truly believe, and a doctor told me this when he was little, and like I've taken this to heart, is that no kid will ever starve while they have food in front of them. And so Simon, from a very early age, we just put food in front of him. And so this is what he thinks that food is. He eats vegetables, he eats all kinds of protein, he loves mussels and fish and salmon and all of the things. So, James?
Yeah, you briefly touched on the fatty proteins like salmon. When you cook in this, do you cook with anything different besides extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil? Just avocado spray, because those are fatty type sprays?
So, if we're cooking salmon, we try and eat salmon more sparingly. But salmon is one of those that has really good fats in it, like the I can never omega-3s or omega-6s. Yeah. So the omega-3s that are in salmon are the healthy fats for you. So that's a positive. But I'd still try and pay attention to the overall fat that I'm taking in throughout the day. So if we're having salmon for dinner, I might not have as many nuts when I have a snack earlier in the day to account for that, especially if I'm going to be able to cook it in olive oil. I will tell you that we try and use oil extraordinarily sparingly when we cook. We put a spray around the cast iron pan, and the cast iron pan is seasoned so that the goal is to not have it stick. The other thing is we use our air fryer and our grill a lot, and with both an air fryer and a grill, you don't need oil, right?
That was going to be my point, depending on, not to cut him off, but depending on how you cook it too. Like even with your steaks, right, and say not the salmon, if you cook your steak in a cast iron or in a skillet, you're going to need some fats to help it, right? And ultimately too, it's going
Allison, how do we cook our flank steak 100% of the time?
Air fryer, baby.
Air fryer. Yeah.
The air fryer is, if you don't have one, you guys, we have two, okay? And they're often both running at the same time when we're meal prepping. Like, that's how much we use the air fryer. It is the most versatile tool that we have in our kitchen.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right. Other questions before we move on to HSN principle number 2? Noah?
So when you guys cook like chicken and stuff like that, do you find like the big thing for me is when I cook a bunch of chicken like on Sunday or whatever, by like Wednesday reheating it, I just don't really like the way it tastes. You found a way to either like you don't cook that much and then you cook again later in the week, or like a way that it stays better like over the week, or you just not mind like the way that tastes.
Okay, so it generally speaking, unless we do a massive, massive cook, our protein does not last us from Sunday until Wednesday.
Same.
So we are re-cooking protein throughout the week, and our goal is not to do anything more than once. But I do love my smoker, and if I'm going to put hours into smoking something, I'm going to cook enough for a long period of time. And this is like not beginner meal prep. This next comment is going to be advanced meal prep. But advanced meal prep is that I'm then portioning up the amount that I know that we're going to eat within 3 days. And then I vacuum seal and freeze the rest of it. And then the way that I reheat that, if I'm going to eat it all at once, I would take that vacuum sealed bag and put it in boiling water so that the whole thing heats up. Or we just then open the vacuum seal bag, put it in a Tupperware once we take it out of the freezer and defrost it, and that gives us another 3 days on it. But I agree with you. I don't want protein on Friday that I cooked on Sunday. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any like molar ratio in terms of what protein you're having and how often you're having it?
Say that one more time.
You try to mix up your proteins, like you don't do the same one every week, or is it like usually chicken, sometimes you're throwing steak, sometimes you're throwing salmon?
So we have our staples at our house, and I'm sure that Danielle can comment on this as well. Things that we always have, whether it's in the freezer or we go through them on a weekly basis, is we buy flank steak from Costco. Steak is too expensive at Wegmans. It's astronomically expensive. So we buy the big packages of flank steak from Costco. And then we also always have a family-sized chicken thighs. We go through at least one of those a week. And then we normally go through chicken breast as well. Chicken breast is not my favorite when it's grilled because it does dry out. So we generally sous vide the chicken breast, which is, again, what I would consider to be advanced meal prepping. But it's another preparation that it takes the guesswork out of things because it's just a timer and you're putting things in a bag. So those are our staples. Now the things that we add in on top of that are more on an irregular basis would be different types of seafood. Simon really likes mussels, so we'll try and have mussels every now and again. Shrimp is another one that we throw in. Salmon or tuna are other ones that we throw in. And then our ground meats we throw in on a somewhat regular basis as well, whether it's ground turkey or ground beef. We'll have ground beef for tacos or something like that. But we tend to also cook a lot of Asian style preparations. Chicken thighs, I would say, is our go-to protein, but we'll cook that in about 100 different ways. Our most cooked chicken thigh, and this is something that Simon really likes, and it's really easy, is we call it crispy chicken. So this is what he thinks fried chicken is. So don't tell him what fried chicken is. But we'll take breadcrumbs, just regular seasoned breadcrumbs, and we take the chicken thigh out of the package because it's somewhat damp in the package with, chickenness. And then we'll put in a shallow bowl breadcrumbs. We just dredge it in the breadcrumbs, no egg wash, no nothing. Just dip it in the breadcrumbs and throw it directly in the air fryer. It is phenomenal. Right.
And to your point too, Tyler, so we don't like to have the same protein across all meal parts either. So I have a different protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We buy our meats a little differently. We buy in bulk from like local butchers, and our meats are just stocked. So we buy like 1 once or twice a year, and then as needed if I want something. But that way, we're always having variety throughout the day because I've got a pig in my freezer. I have half cow in my freezer. I get my chicken from Turkey Hill up in Vermont. And we do it that way too. So that way we just always have options. That's not feasible for
Yeah.
everybody. It works for us.
Pop-Up always supplies us with venison in the
We
freezer
also-
as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have 2 deer in the freezer too. We also have several freezers.
Yeah.
So,
James, what's up?
space.
You said you sous vide your meals? What is that?
So sous vide is it's another cooking method. It's immersing something in a bag in water that is at a specific temperature. So it vacuum sealed chicken breasts, and and then you put it in there. And a sous vide is something. It's called an immersion circulator. So it's got a heater on it, and it also moves the water around. It's got like a fan on it, a fan. Whatever. It circulates the water in there to keep it at an exact constant temperature. So I would put chicken breasts in there for an hour and a half in there at 165 degrees, and it doesn't overcook it. It doesn't undercook it. It cooks it to exactly 165 degrees, and it stays completely tender. So we'll use that for like chicken salad or preparations like that where we'll mix it in with a little bit of Greek yogurt and some seasoning, and then put it on either a bun or a salad or something like that. Allison's favorite spice is
Everything bagel. Yep.
so so
And
so
chicken salad, everything bagel. I put it on my cottage cheese. I put it in my rice.
yeah.
Same. My eggs, like, yeah, with our rice.
Yeah. So, other questions on this before we move on to a couple other principles, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So HSN principle number 2 is focus on balance between protein, carbs, and fat. If you are following the plate method, this is done, right? If you have that quarter of the plate as protein, quarter of the plate as starchy carbs, and half of the plate as the non-starchy vegetables, you're going to have the focus. The place that we find that it's toughest to have the focus is in snacks. Like you say, okay, the plate method is really easy when you sit down to lunch and dinner. So breakfast and snacks is where it becomes complicated because breakfast and snacks are different. This is where some of the recipes from HSN will come in, and all of the recipes we will share on the weekly email this next week on Monday. We will put them in a link for you so that you have them in this week's weekly email, because some of those breakfast options are really good options for making a balanced breakfast. But for snacks, when it's a little bit more complicated, you just need to think the plate method on a smaller scale. So my post-workout snack today was a 2% fat yogurt that included a bunch of protein in it because it's yogurt, and then I had some fruit and a small amount of granola with it. So I got my non-starchy carbs. I didn't really have non-starchy carbs with that snack, but I did have a balance between carbs, fat, and protein within that single snack. All right, and then HSN principle number 3 is limit the amount of food, or limit the amount of added sugar you consume on a daily basis. Sugar is empty carbohydrates. It helps with energy in the very short term, but it's got a huge insulin spike for you, and it doesn't come with any nutrients. So this is something, especially if you're trying to lose weight, that we don't want to add into the diet because you're not getting anything really beneficial from it. So a couple quick FAQs. These were the same as the last time if you were here. What should I eat around my workout? Again, before the workout, we suggest simple carbohydrates, but we suggest simple carbohydrates that come from generally things that are easily processed, but are still whole foods. So I love fruit before a workout and a small amount of protein. So a yogurt would still be a great option, but I would pair that with a banana. I would eat my yogurt farther before the workout, and then I would eat my banana closer to the workout. Some people like apples, some people don't like apples because they fill up their belly in weird ways. But banana, clementine, orange, apple, these are really good options before the workout. Now let's talk after the workout. What do you need after the workout? Who's got it? 2 main things. Protein. So that's number 2. What's number 1 that you need after the workout? What did you really deplete, Tyler? Carbs, right?
Now ask Tyler eats after his workouts sometimes, or we've talked about it. What do you eat after your workout? Yep, sweet potato cottage cheese or sweet potatoes and chicken. That's my go-to. But I saw him eating that the other day, and I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
what's up?"
So I'm a yogurt after the workout, which is the same thing as cottage cheese. I talked about that earlier, that was my snack after the workout. Now, the one thing with this is generally speaking, if you work out extraordinarily hard, right, the protein is going to repair your muscles. But if the protein gets into your blood system before the carbohydrates, then your body is going to try and treat that protein as an energy source, and it doesn't go to repairing your muscles. So the carbohydrates come first, right? So if you're immediately after a workout, carbohydrates go in, some kind of fruit. If it's a sweet potato gets eaten first, and then after that is your protein, because it allows your body to use the protein for what's necessary, right? All right, next. I don't love veggies. What should I do? Try harder. I don't mean to be. I get that some people don't like veggies, and what we get with a lot of people who don't like veggies is I was forced to eat veggies when I was growing up, and I didn't really like the way that they were prepared. There are thousands of ways to prepare veggies. So where we're going with this is if you don't like vegetables, try a ton of different vegetables, right? If you don't like Brussels sprouts, I hated Brussels sprouts when I was growing up. My mom boiled the Brussels sprouts, right? I love Brussels sprouts now because we roast the Brussels sprouts. They get crispy bits. We season them well. So if you don't like vegetables, add more garlic. That's number one. Make sure they're seasoned properly. That's number two. And find ways that the texture is what you like. If you don't like boiled vegetables, don't boil your vegetables. If you don't like steamed vegetables, if it's too soft for you, eat them raw or roast them or try the air fryer, all kinds of different options. And if you're struggling with options, let us know because we can help with that. Where should we start? If you're trying to get on a better health and fitness routine with food, start with something small, right? Start with meal prepping your protein. Start with meal prepping a non-starchy vegetable that you can have with every meal. Start with something that is a basic habit and then build from there. All right.
One thing at a time. Don't try to do it all at once.
Yeah.
Right? If you've never meal prepped, don't set out this weekend to meal prep all 3 meals for your 5-day work week. You know what I mean? You're going to feel overwhelmed. So make sure you set yourself up for success.
Best time to start? Yesterday. Next best time to start? Today, right? And then I will give a plug for our nutrition program. If you're interested in learning more, if you want a habit-based approach, we have a couple people here that are already taking advantage of the nutrition program. Fuel is here to help you and hold you accountable. Our entire goal is to build simple steps so that they can compound. When you change one thing in your life, it's this weird thing that more than one thing ends up changing. So our goal is to focus on something small so that we can make the bigger changes last over a longer term. All right, Q&A. We've answered a lot of questions as we go, but the floor is yours. Whatever you would like to talk about. Yes.
Well, we have a big fridge. That's a great question. I should have taken a fridge picture, but we have a large fridge, and we've got a his side and a her side, and then the top is like our dinner. So like I said, we meal prep our breakfast and lunch. So it's a little bit of Tetris, and then everything that we have for dinner goes on the top. My husband is like very OCD in that manner. It's like left side his, right side mine, top dinners. He's not home a lot for dinner, so mostly that's myself too. But yeah, they fit. I mean, and these containers, they're not, you know, this is not my lunch size portion container, right? You know,
It's mine if it's a salad.
you know, mine are even smaller than that. They're like
Yeah.
a little, I don't know, maybe like 6x6 square. And so they stack on top of each other, slide them right in.
Hey, one other thing that I forgot about when we were talking about meal prep.
Nothing wrong with frozen vegetables. All of your nutrients are the cook them, and then I might, you know, once they're thawed, I might throw them in the skillet and add in a little bit of garlic or chili flake or whatever I want it to be, and add that to my meal. Nothing wrong with that at all.
And when it comes to serving sizes on non-sauced frozen vegetables, just know that they're bullshit, right? So this is 3.5 servings in one bag. This is my serving right here. If we're using a frozen vegetable, I eat an entire bag of frozen vegetables to myself. And then it's possible that Allison and Simon would share a bag of frozen vegetables, because when you add them together, you actually get me for now, right? So one bag of frozen vegetables does not have to, like, don't think that, oh, this is 3.5 servings, I only need to eat 1/4 of this bag. That's not going to be the plate method if that's your only non-starchy vegetable, right? But these are a lifesaver. And frozen vegetables have come a long way with the steam and bag situation. So you just put it this side up, you put it in the microwave, 4 minutes, it steams in the bag, and it's generally pretty good quality. They freeze them at the right time. The Asian, from this bird's eye, the Asian vegetables are pretty good without a ton of additional calories because of the sauce. We also do the potato green bean with a little bit of, it's got some kind of sauce on it, but that one's not bad as well. Just know when you get into the potato, that automatically makes this frozen bag of vegetables, that makes it your starchy carb and your non-starchy carbohydrate all at the same time. So, but frozen vegetables, we have frozen vegetables that we keep here in the gym. You've probably seen them when you go to the Popsicles, because that is a backup lunch for us. We also have frozen vegetables at our house at all times, because it is a good backup. I told you that we only like to cook one thing at a time. So if we go home and we haven't cooked vegetables, but we have cooked, and we haven't cooked protein, it's gonna be, we're gonna cook the protein and we're gonna have frozen vegetables.
Double starch is redundant, like brown rice and then sweet potatoes, along with protein and other veggies.
Say that one more time?
Double starches, are they redundant? With, like, you have sweet potatoes and brown rice, and then you have protein.
You'll want to pick one.
So I'm gonna go back to this right here. Is the plate method. Oops, shit, one too far. So that 1/4 of your plate is your starchy carbohydrates. So if you're having brown rice and sweet potato, you get 1/8 of a plate of brown rice and 1/8 of a plate of the brown rice,
Yeah, so
right?
if you think back to Jason and Allison's dinner tonight, right? They were taking up that 1/4 plate with a combo of their corn and their beans together. So you could do that, but you don't want to have half of your plate be sweet potatoes and brown rice, and then a 1/4 vegetables and a 1/4 protein.
Yep. But good question.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?